Good morning, good morning, good morning. I think we might be a few seconds late, but we're here, so that's what matters, better late than never, do they say. All right, good morning, everybody. First of all, I've got so many things going on in my head this morning. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who, as you all know, those of you who know me well, is by my right side. And of course, I would also like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
Do we have anyone on this morning, Chris?
People are just beginning to log in, Rosemary. This new
Okay.
system.
Pardon?
This new system. I'm hoping it gave them a heads up that you were coming live.
Do you know, I hate this new system, which goes against everything that we're going to be talking about today. Because the first thing I focused on was what I really dislike about this restream, the new restream, and it's so difficult to sort out and to organize. I just hope that all of you trying to join me are not having nearly as much trouble with this new restream system as we do every week since they put it into place, right, Chris?
It's definitely a new way of being.
You see, you're much nicer than me because I start off once again by saying, oh gosh, I hate this thing. I really don't like it, blah, 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 which is the complete and absolute opposite to what we are talking about today. I think last week or the week before last anyway, we talked about my book, Angels in Training. And I know that a lot of you have begun to use this book. It gives 52 angel actions, one for every week for a whole year. And at the end of that year, if you want to, you can go back and start all over again. Some of these angel actions are things that we can do for other people. But a lot of these angel actions are things that we can do also for ourselves, because remember, my first rule is be selfish with yourself. I had a conversation with a lovely lady the other day who found it so hard to be selfish with herself. She was so used to pampering her husband and her kids that she forgot about her. Then you get worn out, then you get low, then you start to feel not very well, then you get, a little bit of depression, and then you don't understand what's going on with you, and then you feel really, really tired until somebody like me comes along and says, hey, time to give to you, because you can't keep giving out to other people all the time without giving to yourself as well. My rule with my students, my rule particularly with my students who are training to become healers, who I've worked with over the years to become healers. And I say particularly then because healing, when you give healing, it takes a great deal out of you. It expends your energy. So my rule always with all of my students, and especially with my healers, is self first. And some of you may sort of step back in horror and say, but we're not supposed to be selfish, and the church tells us that we've got to think of others, put others before ourselves. Good teachings and the spiritual teachings, don't they say that we've got to be giving and loving to others? And you would be right about that. However, if you're not loving and giving to yourself first and foremost, you're going to wear yourself so thin, you're going to be so exhausted that you're not going to be able to give. You're not going to have any energy left to give to anybody else. So self first, be selfish with yourself, providing you don't walk all over everybody else in order to be selfish with yourself. I'm not suggesting that you should ignore other people's feelings, but on the important issues, when it comes to draining your energy, or when it comes to giving to somebody else who really can manage without you, 99.9% of the time actually, you've got to give to yourself first, because if you feed yourself, then you'll be strong enough and capable enough then to feed others. So Angels in Training, it gives you 52 examples of what you can do. 52 weeks in the year and 52 very, particular tasks that we're suggesting that you do. Some of those tasks are, of course, for others, but they're all, every one of them, even when you're giving to somebody else, you're giving to you as well, aren't you, if you do it right. So we are looking at our angel actions, and it's still January. And I know that my friend Karen, who is in Canada, I know that she got together with Chris, and I know that the two of you are working on your angel actions. I won't say that it's your New Year's resolution, is it, Chris? But certainly it's something that you and Karen have decided that you really want to do. Would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, Karen and I could pick up that book at any point in the year. It just so happened that we were starting 2022 this way.
Right. So, excuse me. So I think that the book says it better than I ever could. Well, wait, I wrote it. Yes, I did. I wrote it. But Chris, would you mind reading this for us, so that we can get a sense of what it is that we need to do? Because if any of you wants to start doing this particular exercise, it is so good for you. And I'm thinking it is especially relevant. This particular exercise is especially relevant because we've got, and I'm so exhausted. I was in New York, as you know, for a month. I'm so exhausted listening to the tales of woe. I perfectly understand about COVID. I am so sympathetic to those who have COVID. But I don't know if it's New York City in particular, but it seems to be so overwhelming. You cannot turn on the TV. You cannot listen to the news without being bombarded by, take this shot, have this booster, etc., etc., etc. And I get it. I do understand why, why we need to be reminded of those things. But hundreds of times in a day is overwhelming to me. And I can see why people who listen to the news and why people who, sort of are nervous about COVID, I can understand why being bombarded all the time, it's so depressing. It starts you on that negative track every single morning. You turn on the news and within a few minutes, there it is, somebody else, some other politician telling you this, or some, medical person telling you that. And I get it, I do. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be informed, but there's a difference between being informed and being bombarded. And I have to say that when I was in New York, it seems to be the only thing on anybody's minds. And I have to say, it's not the same in other parts of the country, or in fact, in other parts of the world. We know it, we have it, it's here, we deal with it. The same as we dealt with the common cold, the same as we dealt with, the influenza bug, the same as people deal with cancer. We know it's there, we know we can get it, we deal with it. I know that COVID is very new right now, so it's in, sort of it's in the forefront of our minds, isn't it? But it's there, we know it, we're dealing with it. And I think that this particular exercise, I'm going to ask you, Chris, if you could read it out for us, has to help us. It reminds us that not everything in our lives is a devastation. I'm going to tell you a story. I might have already told you the story, but I'm going to tell you a story after you've listened to this about my dealing with this exercise and finding the good things in life. So, Chris, why don't you? I think into week 4 or something in the Angels in Training book, week 3 or 4 or something.
Right. So, if people are looking for this book, if they don't have it yet, they can go to lulu.com and put in your name, and all the books that you have in there are available. But
Great.
this is week 4. It's called Make a List of 10 Things You Love.
Okay.
It starts off with our angel action this week means making a list of things you love. This can be a very enlightening and constructive learning process. As you make this list, visualize your angels as they guide your hand and as they touch your heart. Once you begin to take this angel action, you will be amazed at how many good things in your life you really do love. Take 5 minutes each day to evaluate and to add to your list. Think of the things about your world that please you and make your world a happier and healthier place. The list of things you love can be as simple as appreciating the many things in nature, the sound of a baby crying, a new job, good friends, or simply chocolate cake. Good things you love can take many forms. The material pleasures that living in a civilized society brings, or the emotional and spiritual goodness that is around all of us. Make a list each day of 10 things we love opens us up to a whole new enlightened look on life and reminds us not to take these things for granted. Our angels want us to learn and grow by knowing what to love and by, hold on one second, I got to flip the page, and by reminding ourselves each day to appreciate what life and love and God have given to us. As you take this angel action and write your lists, try to follow your own passions and your own loves. Don't think about what you should love or what you think your angels want to hear. As an angel in training, you need to remember that our angels know that each of us is different and that we all have different needs. It is our individuality, our uniqueness, and our humanness that inspires our angels to love us more. The end.
Wow, wow. If only I'd come up with that idea. Oh, I did come up with that idea. It's so true, though, isn't it? You know, this sort of the days of people being worried about jobs, people not being able to find jobs, in the days of people, it's January, all the bills are coming in. We have, at risk of mentioning it again, we have COVID to deal with. We also have chest infections and nasty colds. It's the winter time, and that's what we have to deal with. And so, you know, to actually do this exercise is so important, which is probably why I actually put it in week 4, because we're heading into February and even worse weather and so on and so forth. Believe it or not, it's been so cold in Florida that when I've been home, I've had to have the heating on. I'm kidding. I know all of you in the freezing cold are laughing at me now, but you know, there's so much that we can get depressed about. There's so much that we can become so brought down by. And I've had so many emails from people saying how depressed they are. What can I do? How can I build myself back up? How can I get out of my depression? And this way of focusing, and we're only asking, if you remember what Chris read out, 5 minutes a day, and that's all it takes. Of course, I like to take a little longer because I like to indulge myself. I like to pay attention to the things that are great in my life. I like to think about all the things that you know that I love. So I'm going to tell you a story. I may have told you the story or briefly mentioned it before, but I'm going to tell you a story. And as I'm telling you this story, and as you're listening, and I'm going to play something for you. I'm not sure if this will work, but I'm going to play something for you as well. But as I'm doing this, if you could all think of one great thing in your life that brings you joy, that when you think about it, all you can do is smile, or even if it's chocolate cake, or one thing that even that happened yesterday or today, but the one of the things in your life that you treasure, and just send it to us, because we'd love to hear that from you all, and it's going to make you feel great. So my story begins a few years ago. I should really do this on story time, but it's appropriate for now. So my story begins years ago when my daughter was 6 years old. When my father died, passed, whatever, however you want to say it. And prior to his passing, I was learning to play the song from the Riverboat song, Beautiful Dreamer. I think I haven't mentioned this before, but anyway, I'm going to mention it again in a little bit more detail. I'm going to play something. So as I was learning to play this, and it is a beautiful song, it's a really, and I had a really beautiful arrangement. So I was learning to play this, and during the course of this, my father passed. And so every time after then that I played this song, which then of course I learned it, and I was then able to play it without thinking about it. Every time I hear that song, it's such a poignant song, but it's also my memory of my father, and it connects me, and I feel that there's a strong connection between me and my father, because after he passed, when I would play it, I would, sort of visualize him listening to me play, and know that somewhere or another he was around me listening to me playing this song. So it's always been a favorite, but it's never been something I've really talked about, and certainly it's not that I forgot about it, but other things take over. So now we're coming up to Christmas, and unbeknownst to me, my daughter and my grandson are thinking of something that they can get for me for Christmas. And my daughter Samantha lights upon this brilliant idea. She thinks Reese is learning to play the piano. So she goes to Google, she goes to Amazon or wherever, and she looks for an arrangement of Beautiful Dreamer, piano arrangement of Beautiful Dreamer. Now, I have to tell you, she doesn't really know what she's doing, because my daughter does not play an instrument and she's not musically inclined. Although she will tell you tales all day long of how she used to listen to me playing and how disgusted she is with me now because I stopped playing a few years ago. But anyway, so she talks to Reese, and she tells Reese the story of Beautiful Dreamer and how it connects with her silly grandpa. That's my daddy. And who is here listening to this story right now. Just caught a glimpse of him. So the piece of music comes, and she takes it to the music teacher with Reese, and she said, "Is there any chance that he can learn to play this?" And it's not as difficult an arrangement as the one that I play, but nevertheless, it's not such an easy arrangement. So she wasn't really sure. So the teacher sat with Reese, and it took him 3 weeks. And within the 3 weeks, he learned to play this song, unbeknownst to me. So on Christmas morning, they're all excited because, this is a secret that they've kept. And so the only tiny inclination I had was that Reese would sit at the piano with his headphones on, so we couldn't necessarily hear what he was playing. He can't do that anymore because I bought him a piano for his birthday, but that's beside the point. So now, okay, so Christmas morning comes around, and we open all the gifts, and everybody's saying Happy Christmas, and we're having a nice time. And then Reese comes to me and he says, "Mosey, I have one more gift for you, but you have to come and sit next to me by the keyboard," because he had a keyboard. So okay, so I went and I sat, and I had no real clue what was going on. And he played this song for me. Now, it was wonderful to hear him play it, But it was more wonderful that he'd spent 3 weeks really focusing and concentrating and learning this piece of music, because he knew, because his mummy had told him, he knew, and Samantha knew, that it would be the one thing that I wouldn't expect, and the one thing that would bring me joy. You can imagine the joyous tears I cried listening to him play this. You can imagine the emotion, because just the very act of your grandson and your daughter doing something so special for you, that they thought about it. It's not that he learned to play it as much as that they thought about it and they worked hard at getting it going. And 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 Reese was so excited about it. He was so excited and nervous that he would make a mistake and ruin it, and so on and so forth. So when we're talking about the things that we love, or the things that bring us joy, or the things that bring us happiness, top of my list are my daughter and my grandson. The next thing on my list has to be there. I have many joyous things, but I thought, having heard the story, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but so Chris, can you tell me how clearly you can see that?
The light is there you go. We can see that pretty good there.
Okay, so are you ready, everybody?
We're
This
ready.
is my grandson sitting his new piano. Don't you love it, Chris?
Absolutely, Rosemary.
And that's all I got for now. So as I was talking to you, and as I played you a little tiny little piece from my grandson's repertoire there, I'm hoping that some of you at least have taken the time to write into us and tell us, what is the thing that brings you joy? Now, every time I look at this, and I was on Monday feeling travel worn, and what it's like. You've got to unpack your suitcase, and you've got to do all the laundry, then you've got to do all this sort of thing, and so on and so forth. But the thing that builds me up, the thing that makes me chirpy, that makes me happy, is my grandson. And then this morning I got a fantastic photo of my daughter and my grandson on the ice. A friend had gone with them ice skating, and she'd taken a fantastic photo of them. And so I got the text and I looked, and so that also brings me so much joy. If you focus, as we do with the Angels in Training exercises that we have, that just they're small things, they're easy to do. Nobody's going to ask you to go out and dig a ditch for somebody. Nobody's going to go out and ask you to do anything that is not possible to do. Our angels do so much for us. And the reason that I wrote this book in the first place was I was thinking, how could we help our angels, because they've got to be so overwhelmed and so overworked, and especially in this day and age with everything going on that's so depressing in this world. So what can we do to help our angels? How can we be angels in training? And so with the help of my daughter Samantha, we came up with this lovely little booklet, and it's really, you'll be amazed at some of the things. I can't wait until you get to A Day Without Time, Chris. I have just throwing that out there, and maybe putting a little teaser out for some people who might just now go and get it. You can find it on lulu.com, but you have to put my name in, and it'll come up with a whole list of books and CDs and all sorts of things. Or if you've forgotten how to do that, please just email the office, Chris at rosemaryaltea.com, or click on the link that Chris has just put up there. You can, you can find this book. We'll help you to find it if you're struggling. And even if you're not determined to do it once a week, just every now and again, if you just open the book and just find something, and it'll be something that you need to do, something that will help you, will benefit you, and it will also benefit the people around you, because if you're happier and more joyful, and if you're not sitting there feeling depressed and miserable and as if the world is sort of slowing down around you, if you're feeling more joyful, you'll be a happier, nicer, more contented person, and everybody around you will benefit from that. Chris, what have we
Yes.
got?
Well, everything's all mixed in here. So there's, some people saying what they love, but, first of all, I think what we should do is say how you sharing the story and the video of Reese have touched people's hearts already.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with that. So Mikey says, how wonderful. Sophia says, how heartwarming for such a thoughtful gift.
Yes.
Kitty says, good morning, lovely story. De Burvow, gosh, I'm messing that one up. I'm sure I'm sorry. Says, wonderful. Mark says, oh, that piece is amazingly played. I don't read much, but I'm self-taught pianist.
You
Been
do have
playing.
to understand that the piano needs tuning, which is probably why it sounded tinny. It's got to be tuned. So just putting that out there.
Well, he just got it, right?
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
needs tuning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark says, I've been playing for over 45 years by ear. Thanks for sharing this. Rhonda says, well, that brought tears to my eyes. Sweet
Aw.
Reese.
He is sweet.
Kitty says, bravo. Holly says, so beautiful and heartwarming. De Burview says, this made my day too.
Oh, nice.
Karen
Good.
says, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Sandra says, my son is a musician and teacher, and for Mother's Day and my birthday, he has composed songs for me.
Oh,
They are
nice.
the best presents I have ever received, ever. So special knowing he has taken the time to do that for me. What a great gift your grandson gave you.
Great. And I'm looking forward perhaps even to the day when Reese composes something for me too. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yes.
Judith says, Reese is precious. He is playing so well. I can almost see you crying as he plays.
I did.
Loretta says, bravo. All right. So then we can go to, your request was of everyone in your chat room to be able to, give you something that they feel joy for. And I'm scrolling back to that one.
I love it when people interact with us. I love it when we get comments. I just love the fact that people are involved with us in our in our sessions. I just really like that fact.
Judith says, I love flowers and grow them in the warm weather. I love animals. I love the sound and beauty of moving water, especially the ocean. I love the quiet time during meditation and prayer.
Wow. Well, keep going with your list. 5 minutes every day. Write out 10 things that you love, and then every day add to the list. I'll bet, because you sound to me to be a very positive and a very insightful person. So I bet your list will be hugely long.
Lorraine says, when I was a little girl, I received for Christmas a small recorder and the music lesson to learn Beautiful Dreamer, and I learned the simple form of it.
Oh.
Hit the keys 1, 4, 3, 4, etc. And it sounded wonderful to me. Amazing. This was your Christmas present and your favorite.
Yes.
Marvelous. My joy and happiness is my daughter Jennifer, first on my list.
Well, I'm glad that Beautiful Dreamer, talking about Beautiful Dreamer, gave you your or reminded you, gave you that memory, took you back to that wonderful memory, because I bet that was fun to do. Chris.
Karen says, oh boy, one of the things I loved yesterday was my Advil and ice. And today was being able to watch your show since I'm still home with a bum knee. Oh boy. Karen, we'll get you on the healing list.
We will, absolutely. I love the fact that she loved ice and Advil. Give me more.
Some days are like that, aren't they?
Yes.
Dean wanted to let you know that today is National Chocolate Cake Day. So it was
What?
nice that it was
Come
mentioned from the book.
Come on.
There's no
Really?
such thing as coincidence.
No, I don't believe it. They can't possibly have a National Chocolate Cake Day, really? Oh gosh, does this mean I've got to make a chocolate cake today? Do you know what? I'll bet anything I own, I bet I've got all the ingredients in my cupboard to make a chocolate cake today. I love my chocolate cake. It's so gooey and moist and delicious. Of course, it has a little coffee in it too, so it's really not truly a chocolate cake. I call it a choco-mocha. So that's my double choco-mocha cake.
And I think that one's in your recipe book, isn't
That's
it?
in
Your
my,
cookbook?
it's in my cookbook. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's one of the best chocolate cakes. I sometimes feel a bit embarrassed about it, but at the same time, if you make something that you don't love, why bother making it? And why bother putting it in a book if you don't love it? And I do have to say, even though it is my recipe, I do have to say that it's the best and most delicious chocolate cake I've ever eaten. Chris.
Well, Rosemary, you might want to share a little bit about our conversation yesterday. I don't think people know that you actually did cooking and baking for a living. Did you want to
Oh,
mention anything like that?
do I?
Yeah, just that little short piece.
All right. Well, I first of all, I used to work in a wine bar, and I went just as a part time, and then there were four partners in the wine bar, and they had a big falling out, and so somehow or another, I got landed with the running of and the and so on. So the woman who owned the wine bar, for all I know, she still does, she was an amazing cook. But I used to make a lot of the desserts because I love making desserts, and they were always great. And so they did have some desserts that came out of the freezer, but I would often make desserts and bring them. And then when I left there, I moved from there. I had a phone call from a lady who became a good friend of mine, Anne, and she was the landlady at the local pub, and she came to see me. She had heard that I was leaving the wine bar, and she hot-footed over to me to say, before anybody else gets you, because you build a reputation when you're in a small village, especially people know you. They know when you're working in an environment, in a social environment like that, people do get to know you a lot. So she said, I'm thinking of doing lunches at the pub, and if you came every day and helped me do it, we could really do something good. So I went to work for her, and I used to make the quiches. She would make the pastry, and I would make the fillings. We worked so well together. We would make delicious salads. I was very inventive with my quiches, because a quiche by definition is ham and cheese and whatever it is. But anyway, I used to make all different flavors and different kinds because she let me experiment. So we'd make lots of different quiches, and but my desserts are what people really, really love. So I used to do that too. So yes, I was paid to cook. Yes. But to be honest with you, it reminds me of the song, who is it? Sinatra, Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Um, the people that I worked for, as far as cooking was concerned, they never gave me a recipe, or they never asked me to make something that was theirs. They just said, "Can you do this? What else can you make, Rosemary?" So they always let me do it my way, so which was great because I could just sort of go into the kitchen and just create. So which I love to do, and I still love to do. Still love to do. Chris.
All right. So, Sophia says, I love my daughters and getting spa treatments when I can.
Oh,
Uh, I'm love receiving letters and writing letters to family.
yeah, people don't do that very often these days, do they? We should do more of it. It's all email or what else is it?
Text,
Text or Facebook, or people communicate through these things.
instant
Gone
messenger.
gone
Yeah.
are the days, it seems, when the postman would bring a letter to your door. So I know that when I get letters, I'm excited about them. I like to get letters through the mail. Okay, Chris.
D says, my blessing is my mother, who is 98 years old and
Wow.
in relatively good health. Grateful every day she is still here.
Nice, very nice. How nice that you've got a mother who inspires you so much. That must be so nice to have that. Um, do you mind if I just come back to, is it really chocolate cake, National Chocolate Cake Day, Dean? Or are you just, this is Dean. You have to understand, everybody. Those of you who don't know Dean don't know what a wicked sense of humor he's got. So I'm not honestly sure if you're telling me the truth, Dean, or if you're just going to try to fool me into believing that it's national. Why would it be National Chocolate Cake Day anyway? Chris, moving on. Keep going.
Rhonda says, I love the sound and smell of rain on a summer day. Love, love.
Yes, me too.
All
Well,
right.
I'm
And
British. We had a lot of that growing up.
Dean says it is the national day.
Okay, I'm checking. I'm still not sure I believe you, my lovely. I'm checking it out later.
In which case, does that mean you have to make your chocolate cake?
Well, actually, now I have to admit something to everybody. So I came home on Sunday, and there was absolutely, well, I can't say absolutely nothing. There was very little in the way of sweet stuff or desserts because I don't really make them a lot. But I came across something. I ended up making myself chocolate pudding, which is in the fridge. And every night since I've been home, I've had sort of just a teeny bowl of chocolate pudding because it's just nice to finish off dinner, isn't it, with something tiny bit sweet. No, I shan't be making chocolate cake. I've got some Christmas cake left, and I've got this chocolate pudding. But maybe next week I'll honour chocolate chocolate cake day. Who on earth thought of that? Does this mean there's going to be a banana cake day and a coconut day cake day? Does this mean that there's going to be a day of for everything we make? Shudder. Chris.
That's so funny. Now, I'm going to tell a little tale about you, Rosemary.
Oh no. Am I
I
going to
don't
be
think people
pleased?
I don't think people realize the absolute discipline you have over how much sweets you eat. You would take, like, I don't even know if it was a quarter cup of M&Ms and put
Oh
it in a
no, not
little
that many.
bowl.
Not
Yeah,
that many.
that's what I was saying. It wasn't many. You would put it in a little bowl, and over the course of a 2-hour movie, by the end, you'd probably still have 1 M&M left. And meanwhile, you've given us all the same amount when we came to stay at your house. And I swear within the first 3 minutes, mine were gone.
I am notoriously a very slow eater, but I usually, if I'm going to have at night time, well, after dinner, really. Sometimes you just feel like something that's sweet. Now, I don't like sweet stuff. I don't like sickly sweet stuff. I like bittersweet stuff. And so, and I find M&Ms to be, one of those things that's palatable. But I actually do count them into a little glass dish. Did I give you the same? Am I?
Yes.
Would I be that mean to give you?
Yes.
Oh well. Well, I might count out 10 M&Ms. Very often, if I'm on my own, it's only 7. So because you were there, you might have got 10. But you know how people sort of dig into the bag and eat that. I cannot do that. So I'm very careful. I don't like a lot of sweet stuff, which is a good thing, really. And this chocolate pudding that I'm sure that most people would have eaten, maybe in 2 or 3 goes, is going to last me at least 10 helpings, at least, because I shan't eat much of it. But you just need that little taste, don't you? I don't know why I do it. I'm sure I don't know why I do it. It's not about losing weight. It's not about, I don't know why. But it's my friends. When Samantha was a little girl, I'm going to let you in on something. When Samantha was a little girl, my friends and family used to fall about laughing because I would take a banana for her and I'd cut it in half, and then I'd wrap the other up nice and tight in cling film or whatever, or I'd eat the other half myself. But a half a banana to me seemed a great deal for a dessert, and people would look at me. Instead of giving your kid a banana, give her a half a banana. People used to rim me about it all the time. But 3 or 4 days ago, I was in New York and I said to Samantha, do you want some breakfast? And I said, I'm making some oatmeal. She said, yes. Can you put a banana in it for me? So I said yes. And I peeled the banana and I started slicing it. And I got halfway down the banana and I thought, that's enough of that.
Oh boy.
So, and I ate the other half myself. So she only got a half a banana instead of thinking she got a whole banana. I don't know what it is. It's something something going on with my brain here. Maybe it's because, when I was married, we had no money. We had to really economize with food. We had to pay real attention to, how much we ate and so on. And I would try and eke things out. I would buy the cheapest can of Irish stew, which was chopped mixed vegetables in some sort of a gravy, and with little tiny bits of ground beef here and there in it. Anyway, they called it Irish stew, and it cost, I don't know what the equivalent is now, 12 pennies or something. Uh, and I would take this Irish stew and I'd make pastry, and one week I would make a large pie with it in it, and I'd cut it in half. My husband and I would have half, a quarter each one day with mashed potatoes, and then the other quarter each with French fries or something, because we got our potatoes for free. So, and then the next week I would make 4 individual pies, and they'd be small ones, you could imagine. And one day we'd have them with mashed potato, and the next day we'd have them with fries. So when you've got no money, you try and vary things, and you try and mix things up a little bit, and you try not to make it look as if you're on poverty row. And at least we had food to eat, so we weren't really on poverty row. But anyway, so I think my eking out food has something to do with the fact that we had no money. That's what we had to do. So I learned to do that. But I did laugh about the half a banana last week, and I've never told my daughter that I only gave her half a banana. And the funny thing is, 2 days later, she asked for the same thing, and she got the same thing. Anyway, keep going, Chris.
All right, Holly says, I find joy in feeding the birds in my yard
Oh, me
and
too.
watching the kids in our neighborhood.
Yes.
Love spending time with my daughter and our pets. I recently found great joy in spending that time in London for a few weeks with my mom packing up her house. It was so much fun and such precious time. My kick you in the pants and get out there, mom, was so ready for her next adventure. I learned so many great things I never knew.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Um, Feeding the birds, I once did very, very severe damage, broke 3 toes and wrecked my ankle. I used to make bird cakes, and if anybody wants a recipe for bird cakes, it's so simple and easy. And I used to make bird cakes and put all the bits of bacon and nuts and stuff, seeds and so on into a bowl and pour fat over, and let it set. Put a piece of rope or something through it, and then hang it on the tree. And I used to make 2 of these, and then when they were gone, I'd make 2 more. And I remember precariously. It was winter. It was icy. I went out onto the terrace. I was in England at the time. Went out onto the terrace. I've got my hands full. I've got boots on, and I have to go down 2 steps to get down onto the lawn to go to the trees to hang my bird cakes. And I remember going, this as clear as anything. I remember holding the bird cakes, and I'm walking along. I'm so happy, and I'm singing, "Feed the birds, twopence a bag, twopence, twopence, twopence a bag." And I put my foot down on the first step down onto the lawn, and there was ice. I didn't see it, and I did a pirouette. And my daughter and my boyfriend at the time were watching from inside. I did this wonderful pirouette and then fell backwards, sort of skewed onto the lawn. The bird cakes went flying. And then the next thing they saw was we had a wall that actually I built this wall. We had a wall, and the next thing they see my head coming up over the wall, and I couldn't walk for about 3 weeks. That's my feed the birds story. So
Oh boy.
just FYI, feed the birds, sing while you're feeding the birds, because the birds like to hear you singing too. And you're putting all the joy and all the love into these bird cakes. And they're fantastic things to make, nice and easy to make. But do be careful of the ice, and do be careful where you're walking when you're doing it. Chris.
Carson wanted you to know that not only is there National Chocolate Cake Day,
Uh-oh.
there's a lot of national days for food. I think almost every day is a day for something, not always food. So today is also Clashing Clothes Day and National Geographic Day, and tomorrow is National Daisy Day.
Well, thank you, Carson, for that. I could never celebrate the Clashing Clothing Day. Not for me. I have to. Everything has to coordinate, and even my grandson. If his mum says go get something to wear, he'll come in a t-shirt in one hand, pants in the other, and he'll say, "Do these go together?" He's 8. He's 9 next month, but nevertheless, we're training him in the right way. What can I tell you? So I wouldn't. But Daisy Day, very nice. I like Daisy Day. That's a nice idea.
All right. Then Matthew is saying, You look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
And then a friend of mine, Nick Meyer, passed away in his sleep Christmas night.
Oh
He
my.
was a special needs person, and I don't want him to be scared.
Oh, darling, that's such a nice sentiment. Um, I'm checking with Grey Eagle on this one. It would be so easy for me to say to you, I'm sure that he's with his angels. It's so easy for me to give you platitudes when I don't really know. And the only way I'm actually really going to know is by asking Grey Eagle, is he okay? without a doubt, resounding. Um, did you know that your friend was an earth angel? How about that? So, yes, I'm sure he is nurtured. I'm sure that he is welcomed. And I'm sure that I think that he gave more. You mentioned that he was special needs. I don't think that he had special needs. I think he helped other people who had special needs. He was able to give special things to so many people. So please, what a lovely sentiment, and thank you for sharing that with us. I do believe from what Ray tells me that he's doing really well. Chris.
Right. This is from Andrew.
Hi,
This
Andrew.
this question is for both Gray Eagle and yourself. I've read books by Seth and Abraham Hicks. If I wanted more theory, sort of metaphysics wise, on the nature of things spirit world and our own reality here on the earth plane, what books would Gray Eagle and yourself recommend? Are there any, or are they waiting to be written? Obviously, I've read the two by Rosemary I know about, which includes The Eagle and the Rose.
Um, well, I've written more than two books, Andrew. So I don't know if you've tried Proud Spirit, A Matter of Life and Death. I'm trying to think what You Own the Power. If you want to know more about the books, you can in fact go to lulu.com. Just type in lulu.com. It'll take you to their website, and then just type in my name and you'll see all of the books that I've written. And you can try any of those. But I'm going to caution you a little bit because I know of Seth. I know of the books that you've mentioned, and I've actually dipped into them. But here is my question to you, or here would be my question to them. I've seen people who claim to have, let's say, an entity who talks through them. And I know that some are genuine, and I also know that some are, um, if I say imagination, imagine there's nothing wrong with it being imagination, because your imagination can reach the point where it becomes not just imagination, but it becomes more of a reality. But I tend to question these things somewhat. Well, I tend to question everything anyway. I tend to question when I'm writing. I tend to question what I'm writing. So I'm going to caution you to not get too hooked up or too tied into the detail. I would say that your interest is what is going to lead you, and your sensitivity and your own knowing self. And what I would say to you is try and tap into that and find your answers if you can. And I know that you can, not necessarily through what other people have written, because one person writes one thing and another person writes another, and they contradict each other so often. Um, my experiences, I always say, my experiences of traveling the universe, of astral traveling, my experiences of all of these things, they're my experiences. They're seen through my eyes, but other people might see things differently. It's a simple thing, really. You know, you see a lady walking down the street, you're with your friend, and you say to, oh, look, what a nice red dress she's wearing. And the friend says, she's not wearing a red dress, she's wearing a fuchsia dress. And I said, no, it's a scarlet. And she said, no, it's a. So we all see things differently, and we all have different opinions. So I think that, you know, I see that you're seeking truths, and I see that you're on a mission to seek truths. So my first sort of little piece of advice for you is seek the truths within your own self. You can read as many books as you like, but if you're not careful, because they are so contradictory, they can confuse you somewhat. Chris.
All right, I wanted to follow on with the rest of his question. He says energy cannot be destroyed, but the integrity can change. For an
Yes.
example, ultraviolet light through a greenhouse glass gets converted to infrared. So, how do spirits keep the integrity of their energy so it's not dissipated or changed to a less workable energy? Visiting this plane must take some energy. So, do spirits need to feed with energy or be mindful of hemorrhaging of energy?
I think it's a great question. I love where you're coming from. However, when and you're right, you know, seen through like you sort of you can see through a prism how a prism can literally can split energy and divide energy, and you see it in the different colors through a prism. And when you're talking about, you know, the infrared thing going on, but that is what happens on this earth plane. So energy on this earth plane can be seen in different ways, can in fact dissipate, can change, and can change, can somewhat perhaps even lose its integrity. But when you're working in this field and you're working with energy, you're very aware of the fact that you've got to keep your energy pure and pristine. And so when you're working with it, you're working with your own soul. You're working with your own spiritual energy, with that, you know, remarkable pure energy. And by your power of thought and power of actions, you're able to keep that integrity, but it does take work to do it. Now, when you move from this planet of ours, when you go out into that different atmosphere, different uh, area of being, different energy of being, it's a very different thing. I would say, and I'm checking with Gregor to see if I'm on the right track. I would say that the energy, once we leave this earth plane, our energy is, first of all, it's visible. It's visible. It's visible to anyone and everything that is out there. When we're here on this earth plane, we can hide our energy, we can hide our thoughts, we can hide our feelings. People, you know, this is how people who are negative get away with it, because if we could see everybody's aura, we would be able to see who they are, what they're thinking, what they are inside. Now, we don't have the barrier of the physical. When we're in the spiritual world, when we're out there in that atmosphere, our energy is pure and clear for everybody to see. And the integrity of the energy is not about what on the outside affects it. The integrity of our energy is about who we are, what we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we are expending that energy, how we are developing that energy within us. And so if you have a person who has no integrity, there's going to be no integrity within that energy. If you have a person who is you know, sort of powerful and beautiful and not necessarily even godly, but just powerful and beautiful and kind and joyous, you will not be able to destroy the integrity of that person's energy, because it's out there for everyone to see. I know there's more to this. I wish we had more time for this. I know that I've only answered this much of your question and probably created even more questions for you, but that's as much as we've got time for today, unfortunately. Chris.
Well, you're right. We are actually at time. Um, I can give you one more from Sharon. The last few months have been a huge struggle. I'm trying hard to be a good daughter, just not sure it will ever be enough. Hope
Oh,
I'm not disappointing my mom in heaven.
listen to me, young lady. You are a good daughter. You can't be everything. The best thing you can do, and I know we're talking about your daddy here, the best thing you can do is support him when he needs it, but you have got to feed yourself as well. So you need to stop feeling that you're not enough, because you're more than enough. And I can tell you right now, Gregor has put his hand on my shoulder, your mother is not one little bit disappointed in you. not one little bit. And it saddens me that here you are saying that you're disappointed in yourself, and there's no need for you to be, young lady. There's absolutely no need for you to be. I'm going to be sending you healing. All right, Chris, that's it, I think. All right,
Yes.
well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I've had fun. I have to tell you that when I was getting dressed this morning, for the show, I had my hand on whatever it was to wear, and Gregor said to me, "No, you need to be bright and shiny." So here I am, bright and shiny, and little did I know, bright and shiny, the pink. Little did I know that we were going to be talking about what we love, and I love bright and shiny. And somebody made a comment earlier, so thank you for that. But this is Gregor's choice, and I'm happy that you all like it. Okay, that's it for today. So thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Gregor, who's laughing at me as I'm talking to you all. Excuse me. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. Good job, Chris. Again, as usual, thank you for your help and energy and all the stuff that you give to us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We love having you. We love hearing your comments. We love hearing the way you're thinking. Could you do something for me, everybody, today? Could you, after this show, take 5 minutes somewhere in the rest of the day and find at least 5 to 10 things that you look at that bring you joy, that are in your life personally, that make you happy, and have a very, very happy, joyful, chocolatey, apparently, rest of the day. Bye-bye, everybody.